So, I got a message from Josh Rohr. He's a really good buddy of mine. I've known Josh for several years now. And he asked me to respond. He had made a post on Team Rohr Powerlifting about what lift would you want to be in the front row to see. And I thought about that because he actually messaged me and asked me to respond. And I thought, golly, there is just no way to do just one. And so I told him I would do a quick video log, as quick as I can do them. And I've been fortunate enough to do this for a really long time and be at a lot of meets as a lifter. There's been a handful that I've been to where I've only been a spectator, but that's been honestly just a few. And I've got to judge tons of meets, and or I've been a spotter, loader, whatever the case may be. So probably what I would have liked to have seen, because a lot of times, as far as the history in the last 20 years, I've been fortunate enough where I was either on the platform as a spotter, loader, or I was a judge, and a lot of times the head judge, or I've been coaching. And so I've gotten to see a lot of really, really great lifts. I can't remember specifically what year. It was early 2000s. I would say 2001-ish, give or take a year. Dr. Daryl Johnson, this is a NASA lifter. He was 71 years old at the time, and he and Toby are some of my favorite people I've ever met in the sport, and I just love them and I adore them. I lifted at one of the meets that they directed and have stayed at their house, and they're just great people, and I've learned a great deal from them and have such an immense amount of respect for them. But Daryl was 71 at the time, probably weighed, NASA at the time had some different weight classes versus what was traditional, so it wasn't a 220. I don't remember. It was like a 227, something like that. I honestly, I don't recall. And so he squatted 601 pounds in a single ply suit. I'm not sure if he had briefs. NASA allowed single ply briefs and 2-meter knee wraps. And I was a side spotter, and it was one of the most incredible feats of strength that I've ever seen. To be 71 and not this hulking giant of a man and still squat 600 pounds, it was not only a testament to his health and his training and all those things, but I mean, just your form just has to be pristine. And I will tell you, the single ply gear at that point in time was nothing in comparison to what it is now. And so I have, in my 50s, I've squatted in the mid 700s, but I haven't done it in a meet. I've always managed to not perform since I've turned 50 to my best. And it's just one of those things where you just have such an immense amount of respect for that kind of ability. And it is truly, when people ask me, what are some of your favorite feats of strength that you've seen in person, that is one of them. And so being in the front row would have really been a cool thing, although I'm immensely blessed and feel fortunate that I was on the platform when it happened. And I could say a lot more things about it, but that's one of them. I would have loved to have been a spectator as well, although again, being a coach and having such a bird's eye view, when we were at Raw Nationals in Spokane and Jennifer had moved up to the 63s, it was just one of those incredible, the setting and everything was just absolutely incredible when she, Jen Thompson and Sam went head to head in prime time. It was one of the most incredible experiences as a coach, and I can only imagine for those lifters, what it was like. And man, just being in a front row seat, seeing that would have been incredible. I'm going to give as many as I can. I'm going to try to limit this. I would have loved to have been in the front row seat for 2 lifts with my sweetie, Missy, that everybody calls her. When she deadlifted enough, she had dieted down to 165. You got to remember, Melissa's extremely tall and extremely long and lean, so she had lifted in the 181s for a while and wanted to take a shot at Open Elite at 165. And her hitting her last deadlift, and again, I'm her coach, I've done her programming, I've cooked a bunch of, it's just, I have been involved in every step of the way, and it's very much one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life. But 2 times, seeing her deadlift enough to hit that elite total, because it's one of my favorite videos of all time, of just how exuberant she was when she hit it. And she was very unsure of being able to, get that total, and to see her achieve it was one of the greatest things. I've written a blog about it and everything else. This year, back in January, she deadlifted a lifetime PR of 402, and she pulls hook grip. And Melissa's 47 years old, and it's such a huge achievement. It elicited quite an emotional response from me. I'm still, even talking about it now, so proud, so immensely proud. And knowing how absolutely hard she worked to get that. Getting up at 4 o'clock. I can go on and on and on. But, all the things that she has gone through to get to that point I would have loved to have just been able to sit there and watch it. Although I will tell you, I'm so happy that I got to be there on the platform and, coaching her. When Wes was 17 years old, this has been quite some time ago. He was a junior in high school. He had just turned 17, and he squatted 805. And this was in a second-hand boss suit first run that Jay Gibson had given him, and God rest Jay's soul. And at the time, it was just unheard of. And I remember Spud was there spotting. Donnie Thompson was back spotting him. There's so many. It was a who's who of people, and the people that ran the event. If you've ever seen Lizard Lick Towing, it's now all of a sudden my Ronnie and Amy ran powerlifting meets. How I met them was I was at a world meet, WPA meet, 2001, 2002, 2003 area. It was in Lebanon, New Hampshire. I believe that's it. And that's where I first met Ronnie and Amy Shirley. And they ran meets that were great events, and you would always see all these, big lifters and stuff like that. It was just such a fun time. And again, I coach Wes. I wrapped his knees and helped him get in his gear, and it's just such a cool situation. But just to be in the front row and see, at the time, seeing someone from a 17-year-old squat 805 pounds was just unheard of. Let's see, let me think. I'm trying to cut this down a little bit. I'd have loved to have been in the front row when Kirk Karwoski squatted 1,000 pounds the first time. Just one of the most intense lifters I've ever met. I've had the privilege of him wrapping my knees and just hanging out with him. He's just such an incredible, fun character to be around. I would have liked to have seen that. I'd have loved to have seen Eddie, when he squatted, 1042? I was there when Gary Frank at, I think it was the Show of Strength in Atlanta. I don't remember what year, but he went 5 for 9. He was the first man to bench 804, break 800 pounds in a full meet. I mean, and it had never happened at the time. But he went 5 for 9, and I think broke 2,700 in the total. I would have liked to have been in the front row and see that. As far as powerlifting goes, I would have liked to seen Big Z lift. I know he was an IPF lifter. I would have liked to have been in the front row and see that. I tell you, someone, let's see. Oh, his name all of a sudden escapes me. Here it is. I would have loved to have been in the front row at any meet to see Paul Wren lift, especially in his prime. Paul is from Clarksville area and just one of the most genuinely humble, nice. His entire family, I've gotten to hang out with him. I've gotten to judge with him and his family, and it's just one of those cool things. And he's just such a great person. But he was immensely strong. From there, it's one of those things where I've been so fortunate, to have such a great seat. I saw Louis Total Elite near the end of his competitive career. I was the head judge when he did his last meet. When Dave Hoff first benched 1,000 pounds, I was the head judge. And so I've had the privilege of having probably the best seat in the house for some of the craziest lifts that have ever been done in the sport. Or I've been on the platform with, just some great lifters. I go back with some folks. Travis Mash, when he was before powerlifting, people see that he's Olympic lifting now, but Travis was a very accomplished weightlifter prior to that. And so it's just one of those cool things where you do this for such a long time and you get to see so many cool things. But those are a smattering, if you will, of some of the cool lifts that I've gotten to see, or a couple of people that I know that I never got to see lift in person that I would have loved to have been in the front row and catch in person.